Hi everyone, I am Lil from Grandirosa, the Ned's in-house florist, and it's obviously the Ned's 3rd birthday coming up this next week, and normally we would be filling the place with flowers, but instead I'm going to show you how to make a lovely bouquet with flowers commonly found in your garden. So I've got together some things that I found in my own garden, and I think that what we're looking for is to make a lovely big vase arrangement that you can either put on your coffee table or on a mantelpiece or just somewhere lovely in your house. We're obviously in spring at the minute. Spring is my absolute favourite season for flowers. We get the loveliest things in this country. I'm sure you've all seen the abundance of blossom on the trees at the minute. There's amazing peonies coming up. There's just, it's the best season. So I'll just talk you through some of the things that I've picked out from my garden. Obviously you will have different things, and what I'm going to try and do with this is try and teach you how to make a shape and how you structure things. But obviously you don't need to use exactly the same ingredients that I'm using. So I'm sure everyone's seen blossom on the trees at the minute. It's so beautiful. We get them in so many different colours right now. There's cherry blossom, there's apple blossom, there's pear blossom. It's amazing. There's also some lovely cow parsley. I don't know whether you can see that. Cow parsley makes a really, really lovely, it's so delicate and so pretty. Normally you find it at the side of the roads, but it's so, so nice. And then we've got some of these beautiful hellebores. I don't know whether you can see those, I'll hold them up. Hellebores are a really beautiful flower. I absolutely love them. Then we've got this amazing pink flowering foliage, which is so, so pretty. And I've picked that just to give height and colour as well, so that it's not just a classic white and green arrangement. Then I've also picked out some of this lovely, this is like an orange blossom. I'm sure you'll have this in your own gardens. It's very, very common, but it's very, very pretty, and it gives good size, good scale. And I think that's it. I've got some variegated foliage just for different kinds of colour. So in terms of what you need to make a beautiful bouquet, I am doing a vase arrangement. As I said, something that you can put in your coffee table or in your bedroom, because these are all really lovely scented flowers, or I'm designing this one for my own mantelpiece. So I would always advise, whenever you're doing flowers, to choose a vase which doesn't have too wide neck, because that obviously means that you need lots and lots and lots of flowers, and it's quite difficult to structure with like things like chicken wire. We use a lot of chicken wire for our arrangements in the Ned to give height. So in the absence of that kind of thing, I suggest getting a nice vase, a nice clear vase with something quite narrow, filling it with clean water. And then one of our tricks to keep the water nice and clear, because obviously one of the worst things about flowers is that when the water gets dirty, is there is a product called Milton, which is normally a bleach that you put in, that you use to sterilize baby bottles, and that keeps the water completely clear for up to a week. So we use that all the time in our contract flowers. So you'll also need a pair of scissors. I've got my own floristry scissors, but you can use kitchen scissors for this as long as they're sharp enough. And that's really it. So in terms of how you get the shape, normally what I try and do first is choose a nice thick stem, something that's going to sit quite well in the middle of the vase, because I think what we're going to try and do is get quite a nice asymmetric shape. With anything with a woody stem like this, my advice is always to cut on the angle. So you cut the angle of the flower or of the stem, and then you cut up the middle, and the reason you do that is because it gets maximum hydration. So then we just start, and really with flowers, it's about having fun, you know. It shouldn't be something that you get stressed about. This is supposed to be a stress buster, and not getting too rigid with it. It's allowing the flowers to breathe, it's allowing the flowers to have their own rhythm. So I'll have it facing me, but I'll keep turning around. I'll keep turning it around. So what you're trying to do, I just want to get a bit of bulk in the middle, so that I can then start using some of the taller stuff to get the shape. So And what we're going to try and do is bulk it up with the foliage first, and then add all the beautiful blossom and cow parsley and the flowering foliage and the hellebores through a bit later. And one of the things to make sure that you do whenever you're doing any flower arrangement in a vase is to strip all the leaves, so from the water line down, so making sure your stems are nice and clean, because otherwise that'll cloud the water. Sometimes the flowers will just do what they want, and you can then fix them up a bit later. So I got a lot of this lovely orange blossom. I just think it's so pretty, and it just works really well at being the sort of base of the structure. And I will turn this around in a minute just so you can see. And then I'm going to pop in some of this lovely variegated foliage. So it's so pretty, and it just gives it a different colour to the lime green. And really what we're trying to do here is just create our base so that everything is anchored nicely for whenever we add everything else in. So the minute this is our shape. So what I'm going to try and do is come up here and then come down either side and make it quite lovely and flowing. So, what else do we have? So again, we're just trying to sort of pull it out a little bit so that it's all very natural. And this is actually a really lovely piece to give a bit of height. So because we're going to go asymmetric on this, and I should say that I'm doing mine so that it's front facing because I'm putting it against a mantelpiece. But obviously if you're doing it all the way around, you would pull it out at the back as well. But this one is going to have a flat back. So I'm going to pop this in here. So you should have quite a nice structure right now, which means that whenever you do put things in, it holds quite well. So we've got, we're hopefully starting to get a bit of an asymmetric shape. So then I think what we'll do is we will start adding in some of our lovely blossom. So blossom obviously comes in these gorgeous, you don't even need to do anything with that because it's such a beautiful tendril almost. So what we're going to try and do is get this coming down. So we're going to pop it in there. Maybe we'll pull it back a little bit. And with everything with floristry, it's trial and error. Don't be afraid to give something a try, and if it doesn't look the way you want it to look, it doesn't matter. You can do it again. And this is a lovely piece. So because we're coming down this side, I think what we'll try and do is possibly pull this one up here. Such a pretty piece. And then what we want to try and do is bring some of this blossom forward so that it's coming through the greenery. And at the Ned, we love to group our flowers. So if you've seen any of the arrangements that we do, we like to sort of heavily group the roses or heavily group the peonies. With this, we're going to try something a little bit different. We're going to have it sort of more coming through the arrangement because it's a slightly different style. And this kind of style just lends itself better to being a little bit more natural. So we're just pulling all the blossom through so that it's getting quite a nice shape throughout. And then maybe what we'll try and do now is add in some of this beautiful cow parsley for height. So it gives such a delicate feel to the arrangement, and it's so pretty. It's so classic British. And it just just loosens it all up a little bit. And again, just making sure the leaves are clean, stems are clean, so that you're not making the water dirty. And then just see how that looks. Yep. And then I think what we might do now is add in our lovely hellebores. So I've only got a couple of stems of these. You don't really need a huge amount of flowers for a vase arrangement like this. It's more about just making the shape lovely. So again, taking the leaves off. So with this, because they're quite floppy, they've got a lovely shape as it is. You sort of want these to be coming out the front a little bit, so that it's got that sort of very romantic country look. And just everything about this arrangement shouldn't be too formal, it shouldn't be too overly styled. Because it's all from your garden, it should just look very natural and very, very flowing. And then what I think I might do now is, because we've got like a very nice sort of palette going on, I think we might try and add in some of this really beautiful pink, because the pink is so pretty. It sort of takes it away from being just which is obviously very lovely, green and white, but it's nice to always add in a pop of colour. So just whenever you're getting anything from your garden, there's obviously going to be some quite dirty stems, which there is on this. So just making sure to cut those off. And maybe cutting off some of the twigs, just so that you've got a very nice branch. Just clean this up a little bit. And again, stripping the stems. So how I do this whenever I'm looking at the height of an arrangement, you can see that that's really quite tall against the vase. So you just sort of use the vase as a ruler almost, just to chop it down. Again, just making sure whenever you've got woody stems like this, you're cutting up the stem for maximum hydration, because you want your arrangement to last as long as possible. And then I think with this, what we're going to do is maybe pop that in. I think that's maybe a little bit too tall still. So again, just chopping down again, trial and error. And I shall just have a quick look at that. Yeah, that's giving us our nice asymmetric shape now. So what we want to try and do now is bring something down this side so that we've got the balance of the height here. We've got the height up at the top. And I think what we want to try and do is balance it down here. So just clean my table a little bit, just so that we can see. So I think I chopped a really lovely bit. Yeah, this is the bit. So this is, you can see the shape of this is already just absolutely gorgeous. So I think what we're going to try and do is bring this down to the side here so that you've got a lovely flowing bit. So I think where we want to put this is down here at the front. I can't see how that looks, but I hope it looks nice. Just turn this around. Lovely, and then we just need to fill in some of these gaps. So I think we probably want a little bit more blossom here, just to fill that bit in. And then always more cow parsley. And again, if the cow parsley comes like that, you can strip it into little bits. And that just gives you more, so that you've got more to play around with. Any of these little sort of shorty pink bits. For the front, we can use these just to have sort of accent colours going through. So if you've got a hint of pink one place, you might want to put a hint of pink somewhere else as well, just so that it looks balanced. Again, maybe we'll add in a bit more cow parsley. And I will turn this around just so you can see where I am. And then, so that obviously we're doing it very front heavy because I said, sorry, can't see me anymore, because I said that it was a front arrangement to go against a flat back wall, just so that your arrangement doesn't tip forward. You always sort of have to build the back a bit, so that it's obviously balanced. So for that, you can just use little bits and pieces, and they can be short. So just this sort of length, and they can just sit in the back and just make sure that it's not going to go forward, and your arrangement is all sturdy. And then I'll just see how we look. I think I might put another little bit of pink in here just to balance the pink out. I think we are pretty much done. So as I said, these are just flowers that I've picked. There are so many different kind of flowers that you can use at the minute. So there's gorgeous tree lilac, which is so pretty. You can also just do a simple vase arrangement using blossom, just one type of blossom, which I personally think is absolutely gorgeous. Your blossom should last well as well, which is always nice. And there's tulips as well. Again, with tulips, I would say they're the kind of thing that are lovely just by themselves. Just trying not to overcomplicate any arrangement that you do. So I just found one last bit of pink. So I'm just going to put that somewhere that can have a nice bit of colour. And you should really enjoy doing this because it's not, as I said, it's something that's good for when you're indoors all day, or if you're if you've not got much outdoor space. It's nice just to have these kind of stress busting activities, which means that it just makes everything feel a bit nicer. So I'll just clean the table so you can see. But here is our spring vase arrangement. So everything here is all from the garden, and again, it's something that's so easy and so nice to do. I would totally encourage you to do this at home. So hopefully everyone's looking after themselves. Take care, look after yourselves, and hopefully I'll see you in Ned's Club really soon.